My wife left behind a note. Asterisk, don't come after me. I need space. Asterisk. So I didn't. Instead, I filed for divorce, locked down our accounts, and booked myself a vacation. 3 days later, she was outside my lawyer's office crying. I'm 38 male. That note had been sitting on the smooth granite counter of our kitchen island, pinned down by her house key. Not the one for the front door, but the back door key, the only one she ever used. A small, deliberate choice. 4 short sentences, written in her tidy looping handwriting that always seemed so mismatched to her personality. Asterisk, I need time alone. This isn't working anymore. I need freedom. Don't come after me. Asterisk, no apology. No, I love you. Just a detached declaration of departure. For a while, I didn't move. I stood in the stillness of the kitchen, the faint aroma of the coffee she'd brewed that morning still hanging in the air. My eyes roamed across the life we'd built together. The custom backsplash we argued over for weeks. The absurdly pricey Scandinavian chair that was meant for her reading nook, but mostly just collected her coats. It all felt like the set of a play that had ended mid-scene. No shouting. No broken dishes. Just grief sitting heavy in my stomach. And beneath it, a strange, unsettling calm. Lauren had always been impulsive, drawn to grand gestures and dramatic exits. But in her spectacle, she overlooked the key difference between us. She made scenes, I made plans. I reached for my phone. My first call wasn't to her family, her friends, or anyone we both knew. It was to Walter Chen, the most cutthroat divorce attorney I could find on short notice, complete with glowing online reviews. His specialty? Complicated asset division. I booked a meeting for Monday. My second call was to the bank. I claimed my debit card had been compromised, a small lie but effective. Within minutes, our joint accounts were frozen, pending an in-person review. She didn't know about my personal account, my what-if stash. Not much, but enough. Then I checked our closet. Her side was half empty. She'd taken her prized pieces, but left behind the dress from our first date and all the framed photos from her nightstand. Even more telling, her mud-caked Adidas running shoes sat right in the middle of the brand new rug I'd just bought. A final careless insult. I had 2 weeks of vacation time already approved. Months earlier, I'd planned a solo hiking trip. Lauren called it boring and refused to come. So I packed my bag, grabbed my boots, and tucked her note in my desk drawer. One last look around the house, and the silence didn't feel like loss anymore. It felt like possibility. I locked the door and left. She wanted freedom. I was giving it to her, with legal paperwork attached. Update asterisk, the mountain air was sharp and clean. For 3 days, I hiked until my legs screamed and my lungs burned. I barely looked at my phone. A few worried messages came from her friends, followed by a flood of increasingly frantic texts from Lauren herself. They shifted from angry, asterisk, are you seriously ignoring me? Asterisk, to confused, asterisk, why isn't my card working? Asterisk. I read them, felt a flicker of something, not guilt but cold validation, and put the phone away. Monday morning I drove back, showered at a truck stop, and put on the suit I'd packed. I felt clearer than I had in years. When I pulled into Walter Chen's office lot, a discreet modern building on the quiet edge of town, I spotted her. Lauren was perched on a low brick wall by the manicured landscaping, face buried in her hands. She wore the same outfit she had in her last Instagram post. A cocktail glass raised, captioned finally free. The woman in that photo looked glamorous, untethered. The one in front of me looked wrecked. Hair tangled, makeup streaked with tears, eyes swollen and raw. She noticed my car and leapt up. Nathan. I stepped out silent. Nathan, what is happening? She demanded, voice cracking. My card was declined at the hotel. Do you know how humiliating that was? And the savings account, it's frozen. The bank said you reported a breach. What's going on? I straightened my tie. There was a breach, Lauren. Our financial security was compromised. Her tear-streaked face hardened. That's not funny. This is our money. I needed it. I had plans. I'm sure you did. I replied evenly. I started toward the office door. She hurried to keep pace, her voice shifting from anger to something closer to desperate pleading. Okay, look, Maybe I should have told you sooner, she said, clutching my arm. I froze, staring at her hand until she released it. But I was suffocating. I needed room to breathe. Just a short break, that's all it was. Time to clear my head. And then I come back to this? You hired a lawyer? I didn't answer. I saw the email confirmation on the tablet. A divorce lawyer, Nathan? Have you lost your mind? That was the moment it all clicked. She hadn't really left me. She just put me on standby. She expected me to wait in the background until she was done with her break. The arrogance of it was almost admirable in its boldness. You left a note, Lauren, I said quietly, my tone dangerous. It said, don't look for me. It didn't say, I'll be back Monday. Please keep my laundry folded and the accounts ready. You asked for freedom. I'm simply making it official. Official? She shrieked, fresh tears spilling. You can't just divorce me. We have to talk. We need therapy. You don't just blow up our life like this. You pulled the trigger, Lauren, I replied, turning away. I'm just sifting through the wreckage. I pushed open the heavy glass door of the law firm. The last sound before it closed behind me was her voice breaking on my name. Half sob, half realization. Update *. A week of blessed silence ended with a call from an unknown number. I let it ring to voicemail. The message was from a man. His voice smooth, confident, accustomed to getting his way. Nathan, this is Kyle. Look, I think we started off wrong. Lauren's clearly upset, and you're not being rational. Let's have a man-to-man conversation and straighten this out. Call me back? Kyle. Of course I knew the name. A senior manager in her department. The one she'd laughed with too long at the Christmas party. The one I'd noticed in late-night texts I'd tried to ignore. I didn't return the call. Instead, I forwarded the voicemail to Walter Chin, subject line, for the file. The next evening, they appeared at my door. Through the peephole I saw them. Lauren standing just behind Kyle, his hand resting on the small of her back like he owned her. He looked exactly as I'd imagined. Perfect haircut, smug expression. A jacket worth more than my mortgage payment. He jabbed the doorbell impatiently. I opened the door a few inches, leaving the chain on. Yes. Kyle's smile was pure condescension. Nathan. Good. We need to talk. I'll be speaking with my lawyer, I said. Lauren should contact hers. See, that's the attitude making this harder than it needs to be, he replied, leaning toward the gap, though the chain held firm. Lauren's willing to be reasonable. She's ready to come home, let things calm down, and we can sort this out like adults. We? I asked, glancing at Lauren who avoided my eyes. There is no we. There's you, and there's me. She made her choice. Lauren finally spoke, her voice thin. Nathan, please. He's only trying to help. This is all a misunderstanding. Just let me in to grab my things. Your belongings will go through the attorneys, I said flatly. Then I locked eyes with her. Besides, the key you left wouldn't have worked anyway. Her forehead creased. What do you mean? The locks were changed the morning I left for my trip. You abandoned the property, Lauren. You don't have the right to be here. Kyle's smile soured. Don't be ridiculous. This is her home. She just needs her passport and some clothes. Then her lawyer can request them formally, I said, pushing the door closed. His hand slammed against it. You'll regret this. I can make things very hard for you. The threat hung clumsily in the air, the best gift he could have given me. I met his stare. Is that a threat, Kyle? For a split second he faltered. It's advice. I'll add it to the file, I replied, shutting the door. I heard them murmuring outside before their footsteps finally receded. That night, the silence felt heavier. The stone in my stomach was back. I went to the home office and powered up our old shared computer. I'd never had reason to doubt her before. Or maybe I'd just refused to see. It didn't take long. She hadn't even bothered deleting her history. There it was. Hotel bookings, dinner reservations, and months of Instagram DMs with Kyle. 6 months of deception, planning, and cruelty. Jokes about me, about my predictability, about the boring life she was ready to abandon. Her last message that morning burned itself into me. Asterisk notes on the counter. Freedom awaits. See you at the hotel in an hour. K3, asterisk. I captured every message, every booking. Screenshotted, archived, saved onto a thumb drive labeled leverage. Then I sent a copy to Walter. The grief was still there, but now it had teeth. It was sharpening into fuel. Update asterisk. The next month became a masterclass in administrative fallout. I didn't need to be clever, only meticulous and honest. First came the house. We were renting with an option to buy, something I had been saving for. The lease renewal was due. When the landlord called, I explained plainly. Asterisk. Lauren has vacated the premises permanently as of this date. I also have a signed note from her confirming it. I'd like to renew the lease solely under my name. Asterisk. I emailed him a photo of the note. He wasn't a man who liked complications. Within a week, the lease was redrafted in my name alone. Days later, Lauren called me in hysterics. Asterisk. The landlord says I'm not on the lease. He says if I step foot inside, he'll call the police. You can't do this, Nathan. My name's been on that lease for 5 years. Asterisk. You abandoned the lease, Lauren, I said, repeating Walter's coaching. And my attorney has documentation proving it. Second came the social fallout. I never badmouthed her to our circle of friends. I didn't have to. The way she and Kyle acted told the whole story on its own. They'd gone public as a couple and were parading their relationship online, posting pictures of pricey dinners and weekend getaways. It came across as forced, a desperate attempt to project happiness. Meanwhile, word of her leaving and my swift divorce filing had already spread. People can do the math. Not long after, a mutual friend, Kelly, called me. I'm really sorry you're going through this, she said, her voice uneasy. Honestly, it's all anyone at her office is talking about. Things have gotten pretty uncomfortable. People are taking sides. And then came the kicker. Kyle was married too. Something Lauren apparently hadn't known. His divorce was unraveling in the open, and it was far uglier and more chaotic than mine. Their picture-perfect corporate romance was collapsing under its own weight. The real blow, though, was financial. With no access to our shared accounts, Lauren was leaning entirely on Kyle. And as it turned out, Kyle wasn't nearly as well off as his polished image suggested. Most of his money was locked in his marital home. The peak of their unraveling came with a late-night voicemail from Lauren. Her voice was shaky, emotional, almost incoherent. She rambled about a vacation we'd taken 5 years earlier, saying things like, "Remember how happy we were? And I don't know how it all came to this." Then it ended with, "Anyway, I know things are awkward right now, but I really need my half of the $2,850 security deposit from the landlord. Can you just seal it to me?" The audacity left me speechless. I didn't respond. The next day, her new attorney, noticeably cheaper and less competent than her first, emailed Walter demanding immediate release of funds. Walter's reply was a masterpiece, short, professional, and absolutely crushing. He wrote that all marital assets were frozen pending final judgment, that further communication should go through counsel, and for dramatic effect, attached a single password-protected PDF. The file name Kyle. Inside were the first 10 pages of their Instagram DMs. The money request stopped instantly. 6 months after finding that note, it was finished. The divorce was finalized last week. No shouting matches in court, just a series of cold, relentless negotiations between our lawyers. Walter Chun was worth every dollar. He presented our side with stark, undeniable evidence. Lauren's deliberate infidelity, her documented abandonment of the home, and Kyle's failed intimidation attempt. The outcome wasn't a 50-50 split. Our state allows fault-based asset division in specific cases, and Walter successfully argued that her actions amounted to financial waste and intentional abandonment. She walked away with her personal items, which I'd neatly packed and stored for her, the car her parents had given her, and a small, court-mandated cut of our savings. The last piece was the house. Because I had renewed the lease in my own name after she left, and because she had legally vacated, the purchase option was solely mine. The down payment I'd quietly built in my private account was untouched. Last month, I sat across from the landlord, now the seller, and signed the papers. The house belongs to me now, not because of what I had before she left, but because of how I handled everything after. As for them, from what I've gathered, the fallout has been exactly what you'd expect. Lauren and Kyle are still together, but stuck in a cramped 2-bedroom apartment in a rundown part of the city. Their finances are in shambles. His divorce bled him dry, and her freedom cost her far more than she ever imagined. Kelly told me their office is toxic now. Both of them were passed over for promotions they'd been counting on. Senior leadership, it seems, has little patience for employees who create HR disasters and drag their drama into the workplace. Their once constant displays of bliss on social media have gone silent. My most unexpectedly satisfying moment came just last week. I was relaxing on my new sofa, enjoying the peace, when I got an email from Spotify. Your password has been changed. But I hadn't changed it. That's when I realized Lauren had still been using our family plan. A tiny, forgotten thread between us. I logged in, saw her profile, and with a few clicks removed her and reset the password. It felt like locking a door I didn't realize had been left open. The soft, final sound of closure. I don't hate her. Truthfully, I rarely think of her at all now. Hate burns hot. What I feel is something cooler, detachment, finality. The house doesn't feel like a stage anymore. It feels like mine. My home. I painted the kitchen a deep, calming blue. Her Scandinavian chair is gone, replaced by a bookshelf stacked with books I've always wanted to read. Sometimes late at night, I remember the man who once stood in that same kitchen, staring at a 4-sentence note. I still acknowledge his pain, but I know it drove me forward, step by step, to where I am now. Lauren and Kyle will probably spend years pointing fingers at me, blaming me for their downfall, casting me as the villain who wouldn't play the role of the broken, forgiving husband. But they'll never understand the truth. I didn't chase revenge. I simply stepped aside and let their choices catch up with them. All I did was hold the door open and let justice walk through.